Why didn't the CPP join the NDC?
Maybe, to be very honest with you, some of us influenced it. Mind you, I was in prison before. Prison in...
Champo time.
No,
In JJ time.
JJ's time. At least I spent a year in prison.
Which
Whole
of the
prisons.
Whole prisons.
Whole prisons. I spent about 3 months in Burma camp, 4 empty guard room, then sent to whole prisons for a number of months and brought to Usherford then. Now it's no more a prison.
A prison tour?
Yes, it was. So,
well, what was your offense?
Up to now, I haven't been told what my offense were. Because I was a friend of Kukuba Kong and Abdullah B and Co, who were part of a movement called Monas and Co. And they decided to arrest them, and I became a casualty. Kukuba Kong had come to my house, and he was in my house in Sakandi. I started practicing in Sakandi, you know. So I had a house there, and he went there. That time they were looking for him. So they came to arrest me in my house. And when they were taking me there to go and arrest him, they had him, and afterwards they didn't release me. So I became a guest of the state.
What was that like?
Bad, horrible, unfortunate, but I survived it.
What's a regular day in whole prison? What do you do? I mean,
at first, I was in a cell with about 16 people. A cell that meant ordinary for about 4 or 5, 16. Maximum 16.
16.
Where we had a piss pot in the room. If you know, sometimes they piss in it, I get full. The first day where they made me lie was horrible. After the piss pot got me full, it was flowing. Where my
you're lying urine.
But,
urine will touch your body. Whoa.
It was that bad, but we survived it. We survived it. We survived it.
I wouldn't want to compare misery, but you spent your time in 3 prisons. Which was the best?
The best was Usherford.
Why?
Well, Usherford were plenty, quite a many. And there are a few other gangs where Kwetu was there, Samuel Kwetu was at one time there, Professor Nabila, later on Amadaka, and Amadaka, who escaped prison, was there. And at one time they brought Akatapore. I'm told he's around. He's gone back to join the NDC group. Later on they brought him there for a brief period. There were those who were involved in what they were accused of murdering, and the judges and co. Some of them were there. And it was military officers and co. So we played drums, we walked together, conversed together, and had food cooked in a certain way for ourselves. And was a friend of mine, is forgotten his name. He used to be a very popular character, and he's gone. That well, prisoners, well, guests of the state. So it didn't. And where we were sleeping wasn't the cell, that kind of thing. We had fans.
Was the Atlantic breeze flowing into your cell?
Not that much. It wasn't. But we had fans in the room, and then we had nice bathrooms where we could go and so we could converse, even though, of course, behind bars. In the night, you could tell tales, comfort ourselves, and then there are brief moments of sadness.
Yeah.
And but
did you get visitors? Did you get family come to visit you?
Not that much. Once a while. The one that I'd like to have visited was in the whole prison.
Who was the West, right?
It was the West. Who was the West? Before my very eyes, people were getting hungry and dying.
Really?
Yes.
You witnessed it?
I witnessed one boy was just walking, but you could see from behind. excuse my language,
Yeah.
please, the scrotum from behind.
Wow.
Excuse, he was lean.
Hernia or something.
At that time, there was some kind of disease. I didn't know what kind of disease. And when I was walking and they fell down, and there he was gone. I was behind, leaning on the door, on the window, looking at it. And then there was one woman who I knew came from Takoradi, was second D, and he was an officer there. Our eyes met, and I think he could read through what I was going through my mind. And he told me, "Lawyer, I must survive." I think the tears at that time was flowing because she read exactly what I was thinking. I wasn't too sure I would survive at that time because they were dying almost on a daily basis. See, but as I said, it was an experience. We survived it.
Yes, you did. Were the guards violent towards you?
Not towards me, no. It was only one guy who was threatened. That he was sharing food. And I wasn't even going to eat the food, but I was going to. I was left-handed, like I told you. Was sharing, and I used my left hand.
Yeah, natural, because you're left-handed.
Process. Come on, I'll slap you. Why do you come and take your love to come and... And he nearly did that. So I left the food. Went into my room. The toilet facilities were that bad. Water was difficult to come by, to have a bath and so forth. But
you survived. I think the name was protecting Usumawu, but you're not dead.
Survived.
Very much alive.
At one time, they brought my mom to come and visit me.
Really?
At home. And when he came, he started crying. I said, "That's what I didn't want you to come.
Exactly.
Don't, if you cry, don't come and visit me."
Because it doesn't help you.
But she insisted on coming because she thought I was dead. But I didn't die. It was only for a year. Some have been in prison for. So it built me, made me strong.
When you're in there, do you get news from outside? Do you know what's happening outside?
You do.
How?
Of course, prisoners go in and out, bring you news. Even prison warders, and they trade in news, sometimes for pay. And that kind of, they bring you, they go and take food and come, they meet your family members. And you share your food with them, and maybe make arrangement to pay them as well.
Okay.
At home. You did.
Were you making use of your law inside, giving free legal advice to people who wanted help?
Not really, because the prisoners there were short-term prisoners, only a few, particularly the remand prisoners, some for murder, from this, which many of them were involved in. But apart from that, petty, one guy that died, he had gone to see cigarette, packet of cigarette somewhere,
and got arrested, put in prison.
Put in prison for 6 months. He didn't survive it.
Wow.
He was my very good friend, because he's lived in Takoradi before, and he spoke Fanti, and once a while we converse here and there. I'm very nice. He went, but that's not the only one who died, of course.
Yes, other people.
But I wasn't too close with them. I was on a diet of Gary, because that was what. And then, of course, officers came from Accra to come and visit. At one time, my friend, Johnny Hansen, led some officers to come and visit. They saw me. You see, immediately anybody expresses some kind of sympathy, I don't know, you can't survive it. You break down.
Yes, of course.
So I mean, when we shook my hand, he said, "It's not his fault. It's not his fault." Of course, he mentioned people's name, but I don't want to do that. And I said, "They should allow me to take Gary, because the food that he gave me, I couldn't cope with." So he asked them, "Why don't you allow him to take Gary?" So they agreed. That's what made me survive. Could eat Gary with shito. It was a deli routine.
Gary and Shito.
Gary and Shito. In the morning, sometimes tea. They allowed me hot water to make tea. But in Osherford was good.
What was the diet then?
Or that you could cook, you could do anything. People can bring your fish, do everything else, and then you had some friends who used to make. Some of the people that I was in whole prisons with were also transferred to
Asherford.
Asherford.
Are you a good cook?
No, I didn't cook. I didn't cook.
So I can understand why you would want to align with the MPP and not with the NDC when you became a member of parliament.